for 8 or 9 months, I lived in an office that was half this size, and when it was time to go to sleep, I had a freaking cot. Not a bed, not a nice cushy couch, a freaking cot. And it was alarm going off at 6:30 in the morning so that I could get up and open the store again, and that was the Whiteland store. When I do start experiencing lavish things, it'll be unapologetic. But I don't need those things. What I do need, I need you guys. I need the team. I need the businesses to continue to develop and grow and improve. When I die, I hope somebody stands up and says, love him or hate him, you always knew where you stood with him. You knew he was a man of his word. If he shook your hand, you knew that he was from the generation where a deal is a deal, and he operated in high character, and he was honest, even if you didn't like what was coming out of his mouth.
So what happens to those leaders who have a different vision than you? How do you handle that conflict?
Instinctively, I want to be just blunt and say they either get on my page or I repel them, but that's an energy thing. If you can show me a perspective that I'm not seeing, I'm willing to let it change my mind. This deep in the game, that's rare, because I have made enough mistakes and I have enough years in this game.
So how do you measure success then?
I'm going to go back to what do I value most? My time and my freedom.
Yeah.
So I measure success by how much time and how much freedom do I have. He did ask some good questions where I was able to actually clarify in general, but the biggest question that I felt like was attributable to him in general was, where do I see Vickers and Scared Rabbit going? And I was like, that's on you and Trish.
I know, when you said that, I sent him a Slack and said, look at us, we have a baby now.
Yeah, because I'm just sitting there going, and I mean, I tried to answer him very much clarifying, but it was I knew when I bought these businesses that I was never going to physically get in and learn them the way I learned and then develop Coffee Junkiez and Pizza Junkiez. That was never the intent. They were supposed to be businesses brought in as part of the ecosystem to serve other small businesses that I'm passionate about, but also serve us. And it's like, I'm giving you guys everything that I know to give you. I'm a space, resources, tools, and as long as I'm working with Matt on what is the highest value thing, which is the franchise growth, then I'm giving Vickers and Scared Rabbit a stream of revenue. Like, I can't do everything. What's the highest value thing that I can do? Well, I bought them to be a part of the ecosystem, and I can make sure that I'm funneling as much business from that angle, but it's on you guys to grow doing business with other small businesses, and anytime you need to bring me in to have those conversations with other small businesses, I'm happy to. But obviously, as we've seen, nurses want to talk shit about me without ever actually meeting me. So there are certain customers that it is much better if you guys just deal with them and you can reference me and call me in if you need me, but don't put me on the front line of it. I
just kind of feel like in this situation, like you're a buffer. Like, you're the owner, we handle the business. If we need you, we'll call you. And that's what I have to explain to my team. Like, no news is good news when it comes to Jason. As long as we're making money, we're being productive, and we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, Jason's not gonna have a problem. And that's why I try to explain to these guys, as long as we're working as a team and we're together, then, you know, we're not going to have that many problems as long as there's communication amongst everyone. And since I took over Vickers, that was my main focus, is to bring them in and empower them as individuals, but also as a team. And, you know, with that, so with leadership, because I feel like that's kind of your deal. Like, you come in and you talk to us and stuff like that. What do you feel like motivates you to motivate us? Besides money.
No. I mean, it's funny because I was like, this was like pre and we're rolling into it, but it's what motivates me to motivate you. The last couple coaching calls that I've had with my business coach, and it's like, there's a part of me that wants to strangle him because I'm like, why couldn't you tell me this a couple years ago? At my time in the cycle and at my age, I am realizing an expense that I never factored in all of my decisions early on, and it's becoming the most important factor today, the emotional expense. And I never factored that because it was just go, 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 go. Okay, I have been working full-time since 14 years old, and I'm 49 years old. I have been at this business for 20 years, and I have no desire to die trying to grow this business. So I'm looking at it and the emotional expense. What is the cheapest emotional expense for me? Putting you guys in positions of power because you're younger than I am. Technically, you should have more go-getter energy than I do, and I can be a buffer. I can be a resource for wisdom, for solving problems, strategic thinking, because the emotional expense, if I let it be too much, it steals my freedom. Mm-hmm. And I went so long without freedom that now that I've finally gotten a little bit of freedom, I'm hell-bent, I'm not giving it up.
Yeah.
To the point that I'm like, still today, you both make more money than I do. You don't see it like that. I understand that. Because I own the asset is appreciating in value. So you're like, no, that's not true. On a weekly basis, you both make more money than I do. Why? Because the only way that I could make more money than you is to give up my freedom and engage more actively. Mm-hmm. And I'm not willing to do that. I'm looking at the passive side of it. I understand. The asset is continually appreciating. I am becoming worth more money. But when it comes to daily cash coming in, no, my priority is pay you more so that you will build the business, and yes, the asset grows in general, but I'm sitting there going on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, you guys are pulling in more money than I am.
See, I think that's crazy, because I feel like somebody once told me that you said that you could easily waste $100 a day. Is that true? That you could easily, like...
I never said anything about... I would never...
You can't...
One, you know where I am on,
$100 a day?
You know where I am on waste.
Right. That's why I was like, wait a minute, let's talk about that.
So, no, I'm not...
Definitely the quote.
That I could eat... Here we are with about like Trump. You're pulling shit out of context. Because there had to be some joke behind it, because I would not just, in a seriousness, pop off about wasting $100 a day. I want to get to a point where I have the ability to burn $1 million a year, but that goes back to that I'm willing, and I have been willing to live like most won't, so that I am able to live like most can't. And it is a continually moving that direction. Could I pay myself more? Well, yeah, I could, but then something would have to give. Either I would have to be talking to you about taking a pay cut. Obviously, that's not going to happen. I would have to take money out of the market, and that is my long-term future. That's not going to happen.
Right.
And I don't need the money. I went through so much life learning how to live on nothing that today I'm comfortable because meeting my necessities is so slim. I don't need much, and since I have not grown that I don't need much, the more I maintain this, the more time I'm able to work towards helping you grow the company, which is going to make the business more, which is going to make you more. The more time that I have to put more money in the stock market, which is going to passively grow in the market. And I will get to a time where I will be able to extract. But that extraction will likely be in a lump sum for something that I want, not an extraction of I feel the need to pay myself. I don't even need to talk about names. Several years ago, I was entering a meeting, and the individual sat down and felt the need to puff out his chest by saying, I made $125,000 this year. It went, I didn't care.
Right.
I don't feel that ego need to be like I made $125,000 this year. I know that slowly, quietly, the asset is growing, and as long as we are moving forward, when the money really matters, I'm making sure that the money is there. The money doesn't really matter today. I need a roof over my head, I need a car to drive, I need food to eat, and as long as those needs are met, I don't have a relationship, so I don't have a woman saying, honey, take me here, let's go do this. I'm able to go out to a restaurant and enjoy a nice meal more time. I laugh about, like, I haven't had a home-cooked meal and I couldn't tell you how long. My refrigerator don't work and everybody's like, I can't believe you didn't know. It wasn't a top priority and I haven't called in a repairman to fix it. And I go at home, I got my coffee maker. I have gallons of water out of the store because I am spoiled about really good water and really good coffee. Mm-hmm. I've got packets of tuna in my cabinet if I feel the need.
So you're living like a squatter.
Huh?
So you're living like a squatter.
I don't know how squatters
gallons
live
of water
more or
and
less.
packets of tuna.
Oh, but the thing is one, tuna is like the best kind of protein, the best fish that you can eat on a regular basis. That's why I have it there, because if I'm going to get the munchies and eat, I want to make sure that I don't stock my cabinets full of trash. I have my protein or my Shakeology, and I'm like a 32-ounce cup of that. It might not be the most appealing thing when you want munchies, but if you drink it within 5 minutes, it's all gone anyway, and I gave myself something good. Same thing with the protein packets. I think I got a bag that's 80% gone of sunflower seeds, and I'll dip a cup in there to munch on them. My needs are met. Mm-hmm. It didn't, so I've kept my personal overhead very low, and I'm sure at some point in life, my personal overhead will go way higher, and part of that is I know where I came from, I know where I am, and when I do start experiencing some finer things and a little bit more lavish, anybody that tries to blow me any shit will get a massive fuck you, because I know 99.9% of people are not willing to sleep on a floor, sleep in a 10 by 10 space underneath the barista area. Like for 8 or 9 months, I lived in an office that was half this size and went from sitting in a chair like that, watching House and rum and Coke, because obviously I had the good ice and I had Coke right outside. And when it was time to go to sleep, I had a frickin' cot. Not a bed, not a nice cushy couch, a frickin' cot. And it was alarm going off at 6:30 in the morning so that I could get up and open the store again, and that was the Whiteland store. When I do start experiencing lavish things, it'll be unapologetic. But I don't need those things. What I do need, I need you guys. I need the team. I need the businesses to continue to develop and grow and improve. But we go back to the Michael Newkirk.
So we are mentioning something.
But
the thing
that
is,
guy.
Mike opened my eyes and showed me the boat that I missed in social media, because had I engaged in social media 10 years earlier, we would have millions of followers. But Mike is what helped us develop and grow to have a good following on Facebook, which turned into the ability to talk to people and get them in the door to come try. I didn't have the money to live personally, to have a personal residence, and I got to the point where I was like, I have a little bit of money, I could put a standard roof over my head and start living like a normal person. And then Mike came along and I'm like, I need social media marketing more than I need a roof over my head. So I brought Mike on. We grew a little bit and I got to the point where, okay, again, I've got a little bit of money. I could start living like a regular human being. Mm-hmm. Shelly called me. Do you have a need for an accountant? I need Brian more than I need a roof over my head. Many times I was put in a position of, I have enough money where I can start living like a normal human being, but something that the business needed came along, and that was the higher priority for me. So I continued to live like a hermit, a squatter, because it gave me the ability to bring in another piece of the puzzle that I knew the business needed. And Brian is priceless to me, because I'm not a highly organized person, because I freaking hate paperwork. I hate sitting there and crunching dumbass numbers just to satisfy government. Brian has no issue with it. I'm glad that I made those decisions, and I'm glad that I don't feel a need to run out and accumulate things. I still want a frickin' houseboat. I could only imagine how much different my whole life would have been had that boat not sunk, or had I just went out and bought another trash boat just to be able to be out on the water every summer. But it was no, I'm not going to do it until I can find. Okay, well, I found a houseboat, and it's exactly everything. It's a 4-bedroom. It's got 2 bathrooms. It's got 2 engines. Repetitious, like I'm looking at this going, don't want to be stuck out on the water. A houseboat is like a wall on the water and wind. Don't need a motor failing. You need 2 motors. But the boat's $200,000, and I'm like, soon enough, I'm going to step out and I'm going to buy a houseboat. But why would I spend that much money on a houseboat? I don't need that. I bought my houseboat for $12,000, and it was great for me. But it was great for me. It wasn't great for congregating, for inviting a bunch of people out and being able to enjoy it. So I'm like, okay, well, I want this, but I don't want this until it can be big enough and nice enough that all of you are able to come out and enjoy it with me. So
do you feel like kind of you've adapted that it'll be greater later mentality when it comes to certain things like that?
My entire life has been about delayed gratification.
Yeah.
My fear is that some fluke thing will happen and I'll die, and in my waning seconds I'll be like, fuck, all the things that I delayed myself from enjoying, and the whole thing got cut early. But I do have to look realistically on the other end. I've looked at my parents. I take care of myself. I make my mental and physical health a priority. I intend on living to be 100 years old, and not 100 years old living on life support, because if it's on life support, I don't want to live to be 100 years old.
It's not quality of life.
Yeah, I want high quality of life as long as I'm breathing. And if I can't have high quality of life, there ain't no point in breathing. And I understand a lot of people can't make that connection, but my brain is wired different than the average person. And
so why can't you quit then? If you just are like, to hell with it, today is the day, everything's fucked, I'm just going to walk away from it. And then here you are.
I've tried getting there mentally, and it's never worked. Every time I have tried getting to that, my brain's just not wired that way. That's why I said I know that I will work in some form up until the day that I die, because as much as anxiety is my friend, to me it's the right kind of anxiety. I experience what I see as the wrong type of anxiety if I am setting too long or not being productive in some fashion. So it's important to me that I feel productive. That's part of my mental health, and I have always worked, and I've never seen nothing wrong with working, and I will continue to work in some fashion because it makes me feel good. I think that if you are literally such a sack of shit that you're literally trying to avoid work at every turn, where I sit here and say that I don't care about legacy, that doesn't mean that I don't feel a burning desire to leave everything better than I found it.
Yeah. But now, as you're moving through life, and, we've talked about, semi-retiring, and we know that this year was the year that you were going to retire from Chrysler, and I know that we had that conversation. Well, you guys had that conversation yesterday with Ale. And, you find yourself here now. So what happens in 10 years? Do you find yourself still as involved as you are now, or do you find yourself kind of leaving it to the next gen who's going to be handling things?
That's what I was about to say. Likely not. Anything is possible 10 years from now. But if everybody does their jobs, 10 years from now we'll be 10 times the size.
Right.
And I won't want to be shouldering that responsibility. I shouldered the responsibility to build the foundation. When we start building the skyscraper, I don't want to be shouldering that responsibility. I was talking to Dave about that, where what was the terminology? Because we were legitimately looking into it for different pieces. It's going to drive me nuts. Fractional COOs, and that was what he was like. You can't afford to go hire a COO that specializes in franchising, but they do have fractional COOs that you can hire them and you only get a piece of their time, but in that piece of their time, they bring all of their years and knowledge and resources to the table, and they fractionally give out their time to different people where they have industry specialization. When we're 10 times the size, there will not be any room for fractional anything. We'll need full-time everything. But what steps do we have to do to continue to build in that process at the same time protecting my freedom?
Absolutely.
I just don't. I left Chrysler for freedom, and I put myself in my own jail for over a decade. And once I finally figured it out and realized I could walk out of my own jail and I started to experience a little bit of freedom, that's where we get into when I start making decisions, I'm factoring the emotional expense. Because if you take away my freedom, it's going to hurt me emotionally. And I have experienced enough emotional pain that I realize that's part of life in general, but I'm not trying to be my own worst enemy and cause myself more emotional pain. I did that when I bought Scared Rabbit. I did that when I bought Vickers. I did that in so many different places that I'm like, no, I'm not a glutton for punishment. I'm not trying to purposely cause myself more emotional pain. Physical pain don't bother me at all. I might be a little more grumpy when I'm at physical pain, but physical pain is just facts of life in general. But emotional pain, I'm like, no, I'm not trying to put myself in a position of experiencing more emotional pain. So I'm looking at it as a legitimate expense.
As far as expenses, I know that we talk about financials and things like that, but what about you talk about the emotional expenses, what about hanging with the team and trying to keep them inspired? How do you handle that task of keeping us engaged and inspired so that way we can be the best versions of ourselves?
I don't know that I have a great answer for you because I'm walking a fine line. Mm-hmm. If I'm in here all the time, then you guys are going to feel like you're micromanaged. It's like where there'll be like, well, he's only in here once a week or once a couple weeks or once a month. And I'm like, do you want me in here? No.
You used to be in every day.
I know, and that's what I'm like. I want everybody to do the job that they are being paid to do, knowing that I am accessible anytime that you need me. When I come in, I want to be able to be a cheerleader, but at the same time, though, like the question that came out of Jen, I mean, I want to cheer the group on and motivate, but it's also my job to be like protecting the asset. Mm-hmm. Ain't nobody else gonna care more than me. I'm gonna come in and tell you what's wrong, because I've gotten to the point where I'm not afraid of those hard conversations to say this is wrong or this could be better, or because it seems like everybody else struggles to have those conversations. And I struggle to have them at times, but in generality, I'm like, if I'm not willing to say something's wrong, how can I depend that somebody else is willing to say something's wrong? Because most everybody wants to gloss over what's wrong and slide it under the rug, and I'm like, I'm not. And I do take that killer honeybee analogy, like I take that shit very seriously. Mm-hmm. Because I'm sitting there going, that is my job, to protect. It was my job to protect and promote, and at this point I'm like, okay, I can promote, put a camera in front of me and I will promote, but that shouldn't be my main job. My main job is to protect the business and be here for, I don't think that you guys look at it like as wisdom. I do, because you have to encompass it under a word, and it's like wisdom is gained not just through knowledge, but through experience. And I'm like, okay, doing this for 20 years, I know that I have gained a bunch of wisdom. You guys look at it like, we got a problem and we can't solve the problem. Okay, it's time to call Jason. So you just look at it as problem solving. And I'm like, okay, that's one of those weird things about an entrepreneur, is that they relish the opportunity to solve problems. And the harder the problem, the more their value, and the harder problems they solve, the more gratifying it is knowing you're being called in to solve a problem that somebody else wasn't able to actually solve. But that's where I feel like a piece of what I bring to the table, it's that wisdom. I mean, that's...
And with that, is that how you feel like you kind of motivate the team, by coming in and being that problem solver, that extra resource for us?
I feel like it's the only thing that's really appreciated.
Yeah? But why do you feel that way, though?
Because when I'm around, for whatever reason, everybody is on pins and needles. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really appreciated when I'm just around. Everybody's on pins and needles. What's he going to notice? What's he going to call out? What mistake is he going to tell me I'm making? But when you're purposely calling me in to solve a problem, then it is okay, I wasn't able to solve this, and I know he has been able to solve problems, so he's going to come in and save the day. And in those moments, I'm appreciated because I'm coming in and I'm solving a problem, which allows everybody to continue to move forward. But if you don't have a dire problem in front of you, it's what's he going to tell me is the problem.
What did I do wrong today?
So I make everybody nervous. So that's that fine line of I want to be around, but then we go all the way back to when it was Marcia and I originally in the business, she let me be friends with everybody as long as I didn't get too close to them. Once Marcia exited and once Rebecca came in, Rebecca didn't want me to be friends with nobody because she saw you can't have this level with them and then have this level with them. And I'm like, well, I'm the guy that I'll do both.
Yeah.
I will be that friend, and then when it's time to be this, I can come and be very forthgoing and say, yes, I've always been this, but now it's time to be this. But most everybody else doesn't see it like that. They see it as, okay, well, you're the owner, so you cannot be a friend. I started to accept that once I quit working hand in hand with everybody. When I was working hand with everybody, I was like, fuck that, get that shit out of here. That's like, I'm working with everybody. Don't expect me to not be friendly and friends with everybody that I'm working with. You're asking too much out of me. But once I became one removed and started building those layers of management is when I realized I can't be friends and I can't be just me and jovially joking the way I would a coworker, because I'm not a coworker. So coworkers can joke with each other, and when they realize they've rubbed somebody wrong, they're working together, they can go back and smooth it over or explain that they didn't mean to hurt their feelings. As the owner, if I come in and I say something jovially and then walk away, then that shit can fester inside of the actual group itself, and then I've got a couple of you he yelled at me, he said this, and I still go back to that time where they tried that shit with Matt, and I mean in Indianapolis you got that half wall where I'm like, you big dummy, he heard the entire conversation.
Yeah, you can't miss anything at step 11.
Yeah, so don't try and come back there and say he yelled. Matt heard I did not yell in any way, shape, or form. I was just very matter of fact. You're doing this wrong. This is how I need you to do this, because I didn't want to be tactful. I'm trying to stop a problem from occurring in the moment and make sure that they know exactly the right way to do it, and then I'm moving on to the next thing. And somehow this generation is so sensitive that I yelled at them, and I'm like, I didn't even confront them, but I stopped them from doing what I knew was wrong in the moment and corrected them, and then continued walking away. And enough times of he yelled at me is when I realized I can't have that relationship. I'm not working with them on a daily basis. So it went from that realization to the realization of the more time I'm in the building, I'm making everybody nervous.
Do you feel like that's maybe your transparency of being so open with people and being so direct?
You're pointing it out that way, and that's where I'm saying
very matter-of-factly.
And I am me, and I'm not going to change, because again, it is so important for me to be able to look at myself in the mirror, and that's a two-sided thing. I need to be able to look at myself in the mirror and know that I am a good human to other humans, but I also need to be able to look in the mirror and know I'm real, that I didn't pull any punches, for better or worse, because that's where I come. I'm really mentally breaking it down, and I was like, what's most important to me? Well, being liked is not what's most important to me. Being respected is what's most important to me. When I die, I hope somebody stands up and says, love him or hate him. You always knew where you stood with him. You knew he was a man of his word. If he shook your hand, you knew that he was from the generation where a deal is a deal. And he operated in high character, and he was honest, even if you didn't like what was coming out of his mouth. And I think that is rare, and it is what allows me to live with myself, no matter the outcome. Because sometimes you can try as hard as you want to try and be as nice as you want to, and it still turns into a shit sandwich everybody's got to eat. So I've realized that all of the inputs don't necessarily dictate the outcome. What is most important? That I'm real, that I operate in high character, that I'm always honest, and the cards are going to fall wherever the cards are going to fall. And I do believe that being that way has, generally speaking, attracted the right people around me.
Yeah, I agree. I see that. We do have a pretty good team here. But when you were building the team, what did you find that was most important that you wanted each person to have? What was the characteristic that you looked for everybody to really have?
Character.
Yeah.
That's where we come back. I want to surround myself with people that value the same principles in life. I don't want anybody around me that's going to play a victim. I don't want anybody around me that thinks things should be swept under the rug. I don't want anybody around me that is prone to making mistakes and trying to hide them. I need high accountability. I need radical candor. I need high character people around me. Ideally, I'm hoping that living a life of continually trying to learn and improve, that is a role model, that everybody is like, I'm working for somebody that is continually trying to improve and grow. And you can sit back in your own head and be like, well, I wish he wasn't an asshole or wouldn't have said this in this way. But he's living a life by example of being a decent human being and leaving it better than he found it, and living a life that is worth replicating by other people. Because it was like I was engaged in a business transaction, and the dude went to check up on me, and he came back and he was like, you have an impeccable reputation. They did say that you're highly opinionated. Yep, I'm highly opinionated. I have strong convictions, and I have strong feelings about what is right in the world and what is wrong in the world. And generally, if I come up on things that I see that are wrong in the world, I won't let it into my world.
So what happens to those leaders who have a different vision than you? How do you handle that conflict?
I mean, instinctively, I want to be just blunt and say they either get on my page or I repel them, but that's an energy thing. I think that I have displayed a willingness to be open and receive other people's perspectives, and I've left myself open to it changing my mind. So if you can show me a perspective that I'm not seeing, I'm willing to let it change my mind. This deep in the game, that's rare. Because I have made enough mistakes and I have enough years in this game that I think that I come at things from the right perspective, and I think that I still find myself seeing things that nobody else is seeing. So it's rare that somebody is able to point out to me a perspective or an angle that I have not already taken into consideration. And I know that everybody thinks that they can reinvent the wheel. I remember being that age. I remember thinking that I could do it differently. And I found the things that are like, you keep beating your head against the wall. This must be a hard rule in the game. You're not going to change this. Quit trying to change this. Conform to this rule. This is a hard line rule. And I found the things that I can do things differently. And then it's been going down the road going, you can do it differently. Now you need to gauge whether it's worth doing it differently. Because I'm at Chrysler, I remember being furious about the too many chiefs, not enough Indians. I don't understand all of these layers of management. I fucking understand it now.
Is that how you feel like with most of the leaders, that's how we were able to take on the ownership and the accountability of the other problems? Because you do have that buffer between us, I guess, and the rest of the employees too.
Well, and I mean, as I said, it's an expectation thing, but it was also like you guys are inner circle. You don't water me down. You accept me for who I am, but I know that you're going to water down my message to the group underneath you because they don't interact with me on a daily basis, and I expect you to be that buffer because likelihood is the people that are underneath you will not receive it as well. And the reason I was able to have that communication with them is because I was working alongside of them and I could take the time to give them the blunt, honest truth, and then take the next hour to explain all of the pervasive perspective that I got to that blunt, honest truth, because they won't accept that. That was like the millennials, Generation Y. You can't just tell them to do something. You have to explain the why, and once you explain the why, then they will move forward with it. I got comfortable doing that. Today, I don't have time to explain the why to everybody underneath you. So I can explain the why to you in my self, bluntly, and then you can go about communicating with them to the best of your ability to deliver that message, and you can take the time to explain the why where it's necessary with the people underneath you. At 70 people now, I cannot take the time to interact with all of them and explain the why so that they understand the blunt thing that comes out of my mouth, but understand the thought process that got to that conviction of, no, this is the way it is, or this is the direction that we're going. But circling back to what you directly said, we've had leaders come in here, and I think that we have all been able to learn something from our experience with them. Some of them have been learning good things, what to do, and some of them, majority of them, have been learning what not to do.
Absolutely.
Okay, and and at the end of the day, that's where it's like, I laugh about this because with Matt, because I'm sitting there going, he fucking disagrees with me all the time, so why does he continue to work for me? Well, it must be because I'm right more than I'm wrong, and I'm still doing things that says, okay, he's still moving us in the right direction. And it's like, I can't really say this about, like, when I was in the interview with Rebecca, I was trying to get out of her, like, something more of a deeper feeling, meaning, why does she, after 12 years, why? Well, I know one of the reasons why. That woman has watched me endure more pain than she's watched another human ever endure. She's watched me solve problems that she's never seen another human be able to solve. She's watched me overcome obstacles that she thought were insurmountable. Okay, well, when you're with and around somebody that you're able to watch all of those things, that's going to give you a certain amount of confidence that you're on the right track by staying with that person. And that ain't about me or about her. That's just about generalized common sense in general. I mean, if you're with a leader, you're going to follow that leader, and then they're going to come up on obstacles. Well, how they handle those obstacles is going to determine whether you continue to have faith in that leader or not.
Absolutely.
So I'm sitting there looking at you guys, and I'm like, well...
the same my interview. I can't...
No, I get it, but I'm like, Trish, how long have you worked for me?
Almost 4 years.
How long have you known me?
Almost 11.
Why did you come to work for me?
I came to work for you when I quit my job. I didn't have another job, and I came in and I talked to you, and you were very laid back. You didn't pull any punches, and you said, I'm not here to interview, I'm here to see what you want to do because I want to hire you. So I knew that you already saw the potential in me from working with me in the past. So that told me that it was time for me to be the best version I could be, and you gave me that freedom to do so. And that's why I stayed.
And you have been on a learning journey since the day that you walked in the door.
I jumped off the fucking bridge and went running. And it was, we're going to buy some towels and we're going to post on Facebook. And I was like, all right, here we go. And the next thing I know, I'm reading about this fucking dude named Billie Jean. And I'm trying to go through all these things. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know how to get 100 million followers, but there's a book about it. So I'm going to read this shit too. And I'm going to see it. And then it was, well, what can you do with Scared Rabbit? And I tried real hard to get in there and learn some stuff, but that guy was hard to deal with. So I took it upon myself. And, you know, when I started reading over these questions, one of them said, what motivates you? Well, obviously money motivates everybody. But what motivates you the most is being part of something bigger than what you are. And as you've mentioned, there's no one person is more important than that group. And with us, we have a good group. It's taken us a while to get here.
Yeah, because we had failed leaders.
Absolutely.
And again, I had that conversation with Rebecca. we had failed leaders because the vast majority of people have a propensity to let themselves down. They never even get to whether they let somebody else down, because those trash people don't care about letting other people down. They want to play the victim, but the reality is they have just lived a life of them letting themselves down, and then, okay, that energy repels them from the group because that doesn't work with this group. And likelihood is I never should have brought him into the group, but I saw potential and I wanted to give somebody a chance to shine, and the vast majority let us down because...
But potential is what brings these people in here, but what else though? Was it just simply their potential that you brought these people in? Or was there other connections that you thought maybe I could put this person here and possibly do better somewhere else? Like, what was your mindset when you brought people in? You know, when it came to Scared Rabbit, we didn't really have anybody except one person. And we knew that person probably wasn't going to last just because that person didn't fit in.
And that's the thing, is it's like the union side of me is that I don't want to look at somebody like a number. I don't look at anybody like a number, but more often than not, I'm looking at everybody like a puzzle piece. And I'm constantly putting a puzzle together. So I'm willing, like, you know, when you have a puzzle and you have an outline of a puzzle, you just start moving pieces to find out, well, is this piece going to fit? And even in the moment, you might find a piece that semi-fits, but yet you knew when you put it in place that you kind of had to force it. Like,
hit it with a hammer.
Yeah. And later on, you realized, okay, that was not creating the picture of the ideal, so you have to pull out that puzzle piece and attempt to put in another puzzle piece in general, because the puzzle of a business, it doesn't come together as beautifully as an actual puzzle where there's always the perfect piece that fits in the perfect place. There we go, a little bit, But the point is, I do look at it very much as everybody is a puzzle piece, because I'm constantly putting a puzzle together. And then the question is, once the puzzle's put together, am I moving on to another puzzle, or am I tearing the same puzzle apart and re-putting it back together?
How many times do you feel like you've torn this puzzle apart and put it back together in 19 years?
Hundreds. I don't want to be exaggerating and say thousands, but
right.
like in 19 years, hundreds. So sometimes, though, it's been the mental exercise.
Yeah.
I have not trashed everything hundreds of times. That's
Monopoly.
But mentally, I have. And then actually, I'm saying, okay, 20 years, then at least 40 times, literally, that we've torn puzzles apart and started putting them back together. But
so how do you measure success then?
that is such a, I think, if you're going to put me to a hard line answer, I'm going to go back to what do I value most? My time and my freedom.
Yeah.
So I measure success by how much time and how much freedom do I have. But there are certain, because my brain is so evenly left and right, if I was heavily left brain and totally analytical, always gauging those metrics would be a priority for me. But I'm not. I use that side of my brain when I need to, and then I really take joy in using the right side of my brain. I enjoy the creative, albeit I understand that it's messy, and sometimes, whether people realize it or not, the bowl in a china shop, that's not the analytical side, that is the creative side. And sometimes it does more damage than good in the beginning, but you have to destroy in order to recreate. So I view it as the creative. I don't pay attention to those metrics the way other people do, and a lot of people can say that is a detriment, because what you focus on will grow, and I have spent too much time hopping from focusing on this to focusing on this to focusing on this, and if I just focused on this hardcore, it would be exponentially better.
But do you also feel like you would be really overwhelmed trying to sit down and pound all of this out, just like you did over last years?
I don't know, because the thing is I'm living my life. Like, because you go back to that whole thing with Billie Jean. The tattoo that I have been working on for my arm starts with a watch, and the time on it will say now. And that came from the very first infomercial that I ever saw with Billie Jean.
Oh, wow.
And I believe he was having an interview meeting with Ed Milet. And he was, and Ed was like, when should you start? And he's like, the time is now. And I'm like, in my head, I didn't give a shit about that infomercial. I did a little bit, I mean, the dude's pretty solid when it comes to marketing. It wasn't about that. It was about being present. And that's the thing. Most people are like, well, what's happiness? Well, I got to have a pot of gold on this side of me, and I got to have a harem on this side of me, and I got to be in $100 million mansion. And that's, man, I'm telling you, the sun on my face, fresh air, smelling fresh cut grass, a great frickin' steak. Those simple things, they are had in appreciating being present. I want those nicer things. I'm not saying, but I don't have such an ego that I'm like, I got to build a yacht and it's got to be bigger than X, Y, or Z's yacht so that I can puff out my chest and stay there. No, I don't. But would I like to spend some time on a yacht? Hell yeah, I'd like to spend some time on a yacht. I mean, come on. But it's about the experience of being on a yacht and literally on the open water and seeing islands around you in the Caribbean. And it's not about possessing the yacht. It's about the experience in the moment.
Being able to do those things, being fortunate enough to be able to handle those and go places and do the things that you've done.
And I would be more apt to rent the yacht because I wouldn't want the responsibility of maintaining a yacht and paying the property taxes on a yacht and paying all of the people to maintain the yacht. And I don't know, I'll rent the yacht.
That's a lot. So how do you prioritize things when money is really tight?
By what keeps the lights on.
And in this situation, it would be coffee pizza.
What, I mean, if you're going to go that direction, yes. I mean, because I'm like, that's been the whole the whole thing was every time I focused on a store, that store would do good and then the other stores would start to fail. And it was a constant rotation of robbing Peter to pay Paul. And Peter was always what I had just spent a tremendous amount of time focusing on it. And Paul was always what was lagging because I wasn't focusing on it, which once I burned it all down was like, well, you dumb shit, you didn't build any systems to be able to expect consistency in your absence. But I mean, everything, I mean, from the beginning, like, why couldn't I live like a normal person? Because I had to choose between having a personal roof over my head and paying the mortgage payment, paying the rent payment, paying the utilities to make sure that I had a door to open and to make sure that there were lights to turn on. First order thought, I mean, priority wise. So that's the thing, is I joke about this because I'm like, you guys taught me a valuable lesson. I had money in the bank and I was like, make your list. I'm able to solve the list. Yeah,
we'll show you.
Exactly. You guys never quit making lists. And it was the one thing that you were willing to do off the clock is go home and make an endless amount of lists. So I realized like there's got to be a limit to that. But I have shown over the years, I really do want you to have all of the tools in order to do your job so that I can expect that you're going to grow the business. But when money gets tight, it's like, stop all the extras, and get down to the basic necessities. Well, doorknobs was not a fucking necessity. And I understand that it's only a $10 expense. No, but that's, here you are going to find a reason to disagree. If you're in my position and you have to decide between paying the light bill and buying doorknobs, I promise you, you're gonna sidebar the doorknobs real fucking fast and you're gonna pay the light bill, because it's not about the doorknob. It's about, if you open your brain to doorknobs, then you're gonna open your brain to locks. Then you're gonna open your brain to X, Y, and Z that is going to amount to, I did all of these little things, now I don't have the $1,000 to pay the light bill. So it's the ebbs and flows of when money's loose, okay, I get a little bit looser about things. And when money's tight, I put a halt to everything. And then you guys want to focus in on the, Jesus, he won't let us have doorknobs. Well, I'm sorry. I put $650,000 into a building. And once the money was spent, doorknobs weren't able to be had. Be happy that the building is here. You're able to actually do business.
What was the life lesson from this? don't throw away the old doorknobs until you buy some more.
Well, that was not of my doing. I don't know who the hell that was. Everything started coming off, and before you know it, all the trim was off and everything, so that it could all be painted. I don't recall saying, throw all this shit away, but it happened, and I was like, I don't care, because again, I don't give a shit about doorknobs. Like, doorknobs do not stop you from actually doing business. To me, it's a decorative thing, because the doors are meant.
How much nicer the doors are.
And
They see they can see it in your camera. Look how nice that doorknob is on that nice black door.
Look at that.
yeah, but you can look at that because you can see it on the camera. I went out and bought the doorknob. That wasn't good enough for him. He had to go buy the deadbolts, to which I told him.
But there were 2 holes in the door. We still had a glory hole on top.
No, but that's what I said. Mine was, you should have been more creative and marked it as a glory hole to make people laugh. Because the reality is, if somebody breaks into this building and they want in this office, that damn deadbolt is not going to stop them from getting in this office.
Especially when that door doesn't even lock.
That's what I'm saying.
That was the one door that didn't have a deadbolt.
That's fine.
I am happy to, and I talked about this with Rebecca, that everybody has a desire to spend and shop. I have been able to satisfy that internal need by shopping for the business, and it makes me feel very good when I am, like Santa Claus, bringing in stuff. I was able to solve that desire to go spend and buy something, and everybody else was happy that I was bringing in something that they knew was either going to solve a problem or give them a better tool or make their life easier. There was a certain amount of stacking of gratification that comes out of buying things for the business. I know the business needs those things.
UPS is here.
But I also know that you guys are happier when I finally come through with those things.
Yes. Absolutely. How do you find balance in all of this? Because you have so many different personalities with your team. How do you find balance to be able to be that person for every person? Because, like, do you feel like you're the same person for Rebecca that you are with Brian, that you are with Matt, that you are with me, that you are with other people?
But that right there is where it's like, what do you assign to the purpose of life? And I assign the purpose of life of connectivity, and I am fascinated by everybody's different perspectives and everybody's different personalities. If everybody all wore black, or everybody all wore white, and everybody all thought right, and everybody all thought left, that shit would be depressing. There would be no stimulating conversations, because you need different perspectives and backgrounds to learn and feed off of each other in general. So no, it's that type of interaction that feeds me when I can have a conversation with each one of you individually and appreciate who you are and how you are and what you bring to the table individually. My least favorite is when all of you come together, because I know all of you have your own motives. All of you have your own desires. All of you have your own lenses that you see through. All of you are fighting for your peace. And I have to get all of you to come to consensus. And that is incredibly difficult, because I know you can literally split it right down the line. And half of you are going to be okay with the decisions that I make, and half of you are going to be pissed with the decisions that I make. But I know it's only until the next time that we all come together, and then this half is going to be happy with the decisions I make, and then this half is going to be not pissed off with the decisions I make. That's the whole herding cats thing about it, and that's where it's like, I don't know if I'm being realistic to say that it's shaved years off my life, but
No, it's probably shaved some years off your life.
But internally, I'm like, I know that there are. I'm sure there are times where my liver is screaming at me, going, "Don't know who did it, but I'm the one paying the price."
Liver alone. So I understand, like, we always have these conversations about Vickers, and we all understand that Vickers is a money pit right now, and it was a really bad decision, you hate it, and all those good things. But what is one good thing that you can say about Vickers?
The only reason Vickers exists today is because there are many things that I can say about Vickers. And maybe it's just my bias, I have a love for small business. By being involved in small business, I'm able to connect with other small business people, and I'm able to, there's a couple of them that I'm able to learn from myself, but a lot of them I'm able to help in their own journey in general. So I like that I'm able to connect with other small businesses, because when they know that I make my money in food and beverage, that I'm here to serve them for their apparel needs or their promotional product. I'm not any type of threat to them. We are on a level that I can have a good communication. And then today, I love this team. You've got really good people.
We have a hell of a team.
Yes. It's it just kills me that I'm sitting there going, in order to get there, I had to tell a lazy piece of shit, pack your bags. I had to tell a bully, get the fuck out. I had to tell a liar and a thief, you're no longer wanted. I had to tell somebody that was just so old in change, your opinion is not wanted. I've had to deliver some very hard messages to people that wanted to act like they cared about this business while they were taking advantage of it, and then act like they had this great love for Matt, while I knew they're the responsible party for killing the man. Because again, I'm losing years off your life through stress. They were the cause to the stress, and in that stress causes paralysis. So my frustration was, here's a 40-year-old business that's been able to somehow keep its head above water and keep its doors open, but there is no systems and processes, so you're never going to be able to get to a consistent duplication. There's no technology, and no business survives today without embracing and implementing technology, and he could never get from here to there because he was barely just keeping his head above water, because he was surrounding himself with people that were just sucking off of him and taking advantage of the business, and then trying to talk about how great of an employer he was. Well, yeah, he was a great employer to you because he let you suck off of him and take advantage of him when he should have been putting his foot in your ass and showing you the door, and he could have been running a profitable business, and he might not have had the stress that caused all the multiple freaking heart attacks. Now, in fairness, Matt loved to eat. So he had a triple bypass, or he was up on a triple bypass. The hardening of the arteries don't necessarily have to do with whether you are employing good or bad people. Right. I don't want to, but he had many heart attacks. Why did he have many heart attacks? Because he was employing people that were sucking off of him and were stressing him out, and wanted to say they cared about the business while they were taking advantage of the business. And any of those people that might actually see this and get offended by it, sorry, it's the hard truth. You know you were shitting on the business, and then I had to come in and call a spade, and then everybody wanted to get pissed off and then badmouth me and badmouth the business as they're walking out the door, then trying to go and hurt the business because they were justified, when all I did was call them out for burning the clock and drawing a paycheck without doing work, lying to people, bullying people, stealing from the business. And I just simply said, all of these things are unacceptable in my world. And my world happened to become that I absorbed Vickers. So those things became unacceptable at Vickers. That was the emotional pain that I can look back and say, I wish I never would have got involved. And those people should have found themselves jobless when Matt died, because they were the cause of the failure of that business. The man never had a chance to breathe because they were all lying, stealing, and taking advantage of him and locked in their own personal dramas. We've now gotten to the other side of that. So when I bought the business, I knew that it would be a long time before I would see any type of monetary return. I didn't know that I was literally going to have to invest in another building and relocate the thing. But it was long term. This is a piece of the puzzle that works for the overall ecosystem. And over time, we've gotten to a better place. Better systems have been worked out. Technology has been implemented. We've found people that they truly do want to contribute, that they want to give as much as they take. I don't have a problem with people being a taker. I have a problem with people taking and not wanting to give in return. And there are too many just flat out takers in life. And I know myself to be a giver. And I will give the shirt off my back to people that deserve it, to people that need it, to people that appreciate it. Expose the real you and show that you are a taker and a piece of shit that cannot be trusted. Well, then I will just cut you out of my life and continue on with my life. And the funny thing is that people think that they're hurting me. I'm losing a minute's sleep over it because I'm able to look at myself in the mirror. Again, that's that high character where I don't think I've ever attacked anybody that didn't attack me first, and I don't think I've ever wronged anybody that was not purposely trying to wrong me first. But I'm also not that. I'm not going to be walked on. And occasionally people want to test that, and then they find out, no, I'm not. Because part of looking at myself in the mirror, when I was a little kid, I can't remember his name, but there was honestly, there's probably 2 or 3 occasions, but the one that's really popping up in my head, I allowed myself to be bullied. And it was such a horrible, demoralizing thing. I won't. I refuse. I'll take an old-fashioned ass whooping before I will let myself be bullied. I will not let somebody walk over me, even if it means they're bigger and stronger and I'm going to take an L. I'll fight. I will not let myself be walked on. And it's that all the way back from a little kid and remembering that very demoralizing feeling of I allowed myself to be bullied and no, never again. That's just not built that way.
And that's kind of how you have to be in business. You have to be able to handle things like that. You have to be able to weed out those people. And, with us now pulling Vickers and Scared Rabbit together, how do you feel that these two are now going to be able to grow? Like, what is your idea in the next 2 years? Do you have a plan for this, or are you just going to go ahead and let it feed off of the ecosystem with Coffee Pizza?
Well, we're going to come back to what's your plan?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. So,
because the point is, I'm either going to sign off on your plan and say it sounds like a sound plan, move forward with it, or I'm not, and I'm going to say this plan needs work because it needs to be a sound plan. I need to know that we are moving towards, there's more money in the bank at the end of the month that there is in the beginning of the month, and we're moving towards a place to where when you have to ask me for tools, that the business is paying for those tools, that it's not being expected to be pulled out of one of my bank accounts. Because again, that's the thing. Vickers and Scared Rabbit can never scale to what Coffee Junkiez and Pizza Junkiez
We'll never be Amazon. We'll never be any of those things.
You'll never be a $1 billion company.
Right.
It's not, and that was never the intent. So I'm sitting there going, highest value, I need to be working on seeing Coffee Junkiez and Pizza Junkiez through to it chasing its potential, and its potential is into the billions. And if I do that, that automatically moves Scared Rabbit and Vickers into the potentially tens of millions. But that is about the limit. They're small businesses, like when it comes to apparel and when it comes to promotional products, the vast majority of the industry is small businesses that have relationships in their communities scattered throughout America. And anybody and everybody that wants to start a business, I can have a little bit of success in social media, and I can throw up a shingle that says I'm a marketing company, and marketing companies are not scalable, not in that manner. So I'm like, there is a certain limitation to the ability for Scared Rabbit and Vickers to grow, but we're nowhere near. Again, because I told all of that. If I have 100 operations, that's going to give Scared Rabbit $1 million a year to hire the best and brightest to come in for a piece, and their job is going to be to focus on that piece to continue to scale Coffee Junkiez and Pizza Junkiez. So at 100 franchises, I'm like, okay, Scared Rabbit literally has $1 million every year that needs to be spent hiring great talent to figure out how to open the next 100, which will give Scared Rabbit another $1 million a year. And again, they feed off of each other. But I'm like, at the end of the day, if I do my job with Coffee Junkiez and Pizza Junkiez, okay, I'm going to be looking at you going, you have this budget, find the best and the brightest and bring them on so that they can apply their skills and their experience to opening the next 100, which will then give you a bigger budget to go out and make these tremendously great hires to further the overall business as a whole.
Well, this week I had an impromptu sales call with somebody from our distribution, and she offered me an opportunity to see if we could bring in and expand our distribution. So I have all my notes here. I wanted to talk to you later about all of that, because if that's the case, then we got to work on Vickers and Scared Rabbit, and there's a way for us to make even more money. Maybe we could find a way to expand our distribution, and there's a specific line that we might be able to bring in, and we would be the only distributors in Indiana. And at that point, then those people using that particular brand, those coffee shops would come to us. And with us having the account from Vickers for drop ship, and this being a shelf-stable product, there's a way for us to possibly make more money and push this out, i.e. bringing in more money for distribution, open it up for more coffee shops for the basic necessities that we already hold, and then also being able to drop ship those shelf-stable items through distribution and Vickers. So I went ahead and I did some market research, and I wanted to talk to you about that, but obviously we could talk about it later, but I do want to bring that up.
But I'm all for it. I mean, when I say I'm all for it, because we got cameras on and you're not...
It's all fancy schmancy, yeah.
You ain't going to hear the details of this,
Right.
but I'm like, most people just order from their distributors. They don't see behind the curtain.
Right.
I go to my distributors.
You know what's up.
I know, and I'm sitting there going, it's that what most people. It ain't no different than when people are bitching about grocery prices, and I'm sitting there going, the grocery stores operate on razor thin margins. They make money by doing tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, and they scrape that 1 or 2% off the top. Distribution is no different. Like, whatever you're selling to somebody, you're affecting their cost of sale.
Absolutely.
So you can't run high margins because there's always going to be somebody else it is a very competitive razor thin margin game. But if you can get a deal where you can get to volume, okay, well then through that margin or through that volume, you're able to make a little bit more money, which means being able to hire more people, which means having a bigger crew to pay attention to a bigger. And one of the reasons that I went through with the purchase of this property specifically was because it came with 3.5 acres, which means we're at 10,000 square foot. We could go to 50,000 square foot. And we don't have to go from 10 to 50. We can go from 10 to 20, and then from 20 to 30, and then from 30 to 40. So as and now, I mean, that's, again, we're coming back to that underlining asset where I'm sitting there going, I don't need Vickers to pay me an income.
Right.
I need Vickers to be stable. I need Vickers to be contributing to. I've had business people that are willing to do deals with me based off the reputation that I have gained. I don't want to do anything that hurts that reputation. So any business that I am directly tied to, I want to be strengthening my reputation as being a good person and being a prudent entrepreneur and being respectable. I don't need this business to kick me a personal income. I need it to grow the right way, and I need it to take care of the customers and the people, because as a small business person, I would never want to find out that a small business that I owned was failing other small businesses or taking advantage of other small businesses or operating in a low character fashion. My name is attached to it, my reputation is attached to it, and I just want us to operate in a high character way. And I'm still a capitalist. So if you find ways that we can make more money, that we can grow the business, obviously I'm going to be okay with that. The other side of that is, and we have not gotten into this, I'm not willing to sell a product that I don't believe in.
Exactly.
So just because somebody wants to distribute through us and they sell their product, if I view it as an inferior product, I'm not going to put my name behind it and push it to other small businesses, because again, that's a reputational thing where I value my reputation more than I value making a buck.
Absolutely, and that's kind of how I feel. I mean, with this here, with me being in Double J Brands and then managing the business center like I'm doing, my name is attached to all of these brands. I've now been contacted from other people that I've had relationships with in the past. And now they're like, oh, what are you doing these days? Let me tell you what we're doing. So when you come here, it's a one-stop shop. And with the distribution, for some of these small businesses, this would be the one-stop shop, because now you're getting your products that you're looking for, you're getting your apparel that you're looking for, now we got your business cards, your promotional items, and we have all of these things right here. So at this point, instead of going out and trying to find all this low-hanging fruit, my biggest thing is to make sure that we are strengthening up the infrastructure that we already have. Tighten up that foundation and build off of what we know is already solid.
Well, and here's the one thing that I want to caution you on. If you try and be everything to everyone, you're nothing to no one. The business that tries to be the one-stop shop does not specialize in anything, and they are not worth doing business with, because they don't specialize in delivering a really good product or result in this lane. It is the ecosystem of what we have in here and the size of the building to say we have 3 different businesses that are effectively functioning under one roof. And this business specializes in this, and this business specializes in this, and this business specializes in this. Consequently, if you walk into this business center, you will be able to find most things that you need, items to do business. So I see the beauty of that, but I always caution against the don't sell it as a one-stop shop. Let them see that when they come into this business center, to see this business that specializes in this is located here, this business that specializes in this is located here, and let their brain get to, I can walk in this building and get everything that I need and generally deal with the same people. But I don't want somebody going, oh, they've got everything. Well, then that means they specialize in nothing. They do everything average. They do nothing above average. No, that's like, I want to see Scared Rabbit do websites and digital graphics and video editing well. I want to see Vickers do screen print and embroidery and promotional products well. A distribution is one of those where that was purely to cut out other distributors, to simplify what we were doing, and it allowed me, because I've done business with enough distributors, I know what their margins are. So I am able to cherry pick line items to say, you're making too much money off of me. I'm going to go to the person that you're going to, and I'm going to take the carry cost to buy in bulk and distribute it back to myself, because you're putting too much of a markup on this item. If by having distribution, and because of Vickers we already have the shipping in place, we are able to find line items that Coffee Junkiez and Pizza Junkiez do not use, but we're able to have a high enough turnover, and it is a good quality product that is in demand, I'm not going to say no to bringing more revenue in the door.
But the only thing is, we might not be able to put your car in here.
Oh no, man!
We're already losing 5,000 square feet from moving over here.
Well, I want to say that's not really fair. You didn't lose 5,000 square foot.
That's what you say.
I understand that.
I lost 3,000 square foot.
And that might be a real actual loss. And my point is, the 5,000 square foot that was lost, you're not taking into account that there is a 24 by 30 garage out there.
Or the other containers.
That I went and specifically bought two 40-foot storage containers, because in that 15,000 square foot, scatter-wise, there was square footage being wasted, and coming down to 10,000 square foot, there's square footage lost by forcing everybody to pack the storage containers and pack the garage. I gave you 2,000 square foot that took 5,000 square foot of stuff and got it packed in an organized manner in general. Yes, I really needed to park my car inside the production area for the winter months.
And we put it in the garage.
There ain't nothing going in that garage because you got so much shit packed in that garage. And that's where I'm sitting there going, I just want to park the car in a corner just for the winter time, and I'm like, am I really getting in the way? I really don't feel like I'm getting in the way by parking the car there. As long as it's got 4 foot of clearance between the car and the shelves, you're still able to utilize the shelves.
I do have one better. I sold my car, so I have some
car dollies.
car dollies. You just put them on each wheel.
We could just wheel it around.
I'm fine with that too. Mine is, I put enough money in that car that I really don't want it sitting outside. But you could put it on those car dollies, and you guys could wheel that thing around, and I don't give a shit. And I'm only talking about the winter months. In March, the damn thing can come back out. It's just that when I bought it, it was a heap of shit that barely moved down the road. Now, it's still an old car, but it moves down the road a whole lot better. And old cars like that just don't set out in the weather real well, and I really just wanted to...
All right,
I mean, what are we talking about? The car is what? 12 foot long by 6 foot wide? It's not taking...
12 foot long. I think it's probably 18 foot long.
That's, I mean, it is a land yacht. I'm not disagreeing with that.
It's
Like,
out both ends of the drive-through.
I trust me, I get it. They don't make them like that anymore, but that does not... My point is, it doesn't take up so much space. It shouldn't be that big of a deal, especially the more organized you guys get, the more space that's going to open up. And what's that?
So that was a good spin.
Good, nice, huh?
It's not really about
Just like on the
space,
car dollies,
space.
we spin it around.
Yeah, turn the disco ball on and just spin the car around in the middle of the floor.
We're gonna make so many
Just
videos.
make sure you get video footage of it, because
Yeah.
that's some shit right there. Have somebody step up to the side of the car and start dancing with it as the car's shimmying back and forth.
Car wash.
That was great.
Got roller skates.
Right?
Any which way, you can't tell me it's not a beautiful car. I mean, the bad thing is that, what? You gonna say it's not a beautiful car?
I mean, it's a very big car.
It's a 1968 Chrysler 300. It is a frickin' work of art. Okay?
I wouldn't say it's beautiful.
It is
Not
beautiful.
yet. Not yet.
Like, the thing is that, like, do you see that dumb shit?
What dumb shit?
The creator of the Tron coin,
No.
basically he's a Bitcoin millionaire. He's a digital currency millionaire. This stupid motherfucker paid $6 million for a banana that's duct taped to the wall because they call it art. And he said he's going to eat the fucking banana.
For $6 million?
The $6 million is the certificate that says this is art. Now that's some dumb shit. That is waste on the artist that came up with it, you're a idiot. That is not art. The dude willing to pay $6 million for it. You're a f***ing idiot. That is not art and damn sure a waste of money. And it is a really bad look in the world to be willing to spend $6 million on a banana that is duct taped. And the $6 million, what does he get? He gets a roll of duct tape. He gets a certificate of authenticity and instructions on how to tape his own banana to the wall and call it art. We have people in the world that are still starving. We have people in the world that do not have roofs over their head. People in the world that can't get clean water, and you're willing to drop $6 million on a roll of duct tape with instructions and a piece of paper that says this is authentic art. That's some ridiculousness that
I just keep thinking, like, how old is this banana, and is it yellow still? Because I don't eat brown bananas.
That's the thing.
And I'm not going to probably
Part
eat
of the art is that it is a real banana, and he's making the joke that he's going to eat the banana, but what he bought was a roll of duct tape, instructions, and a certificate of authenticity that in order to have it in his own home, he has to go buy his own banana, follow the instructions on how to properly tape it to the frickin' wall, and then the banana's going to sit there and rot anyway. So it's not like a timeless Picasso.
No.
But my point is, we veered off. To me, the two most purest forms of art, the automobile and the female form.
And here we are.
Huh?
And here we are with the 68 Chrysler.
And that's what I said. That car is a work of frickin' art to me. It is.
Well, how much are your car dollies?
They're like 50 bucks a piece.
50 bucks a piece.
I figured he was going to be like, but you can rent them from me for.
All right. Well, now that I have strong-armed you on distribution and talked to you about all
No,
this
strong
stuff,
armed on me. Because again, that's.
I just feel like this might be a really good
There's no
opportunity.
guarantees,
Right?
Because part of this is that you're going to hit me up for money.
Probably, yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's what I said. So, but I'm open as a consummate tester. I'm open to.
And this is already something that you guys use. It just may not be the specific brand. So we may be able to talk about that. So.
Likelihood is whatever your idea is not coming into Coffee Junkiez and Pizza Junkiez.
And that's fine.
I am, because quality that is perceived through flavor and taste is all I care about when it comes to the Coffee Junkiez menu. I've had so many people try and move me off my smoothie mix because they're cheaper. Yeah, it tastes like shit.
Yeah.
I will pay the higher price because it doesn't matter what my price point is on the menu. I want to serve wow flavor. I want people coming out of my drive-through going, my taste buds are dancing. Whatever price they decided to pay, the flavor, they are the pleasure of consuming the drink. And there are inferior products that a total left-brain business person is going to be, well, I can save pennies per ounce. That's going to make selling this product more profitable. Not if you can't sell it in volume because it doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
So, but it like I said, I'm willing to look at it, but it's two different paths goes. One is, okay, well, would it make sense to buy it and distribute it because we have the ability to distribute? Great. But it's not going to get into my operations unless I'm able to improve upon the flavor and the wow experience that's in the cup when it goes out the window. That is across the board. When it comes to Coffee Junkiez, any change, any addition is the flavor wow, because it's all about the experience with the customer. Because I don't care what the price is. The price that I pay is going to determine the price that I have to charge. It is what does it do for your taste buds? Purely. I don't fuck with any other chai because it does not taste as good as the original Oregon chai. And we use the powdered chai. because it's very versatile. You can sprinkle that powdered chai over top of one of our cinnamon rolls, and it makes it even better. You can sprinkle that chai on top of the whipped cream, and it makes a drink even better. The powdered chai allows us to make it frozen so that we offer the same product and taste consistency, hot, iced, or frozen. So I get the versatility by using powder that I want instead of a liquid. But by going with Oregon chai, I'm going with the flavor that made chai famous and desired to begin with. I will never sell any other chai, because you're never going to outdo this original that created the demand for the product in general. Likelihood is, unless I'm forced off of it because the manufacturer quits making it, I'm never coming off of this smoothie mix, because I have never found anything that produces that wow flavor. And I make my customers happy by hiring the right people that provide service that you feel your presence is appreciated, but that they take pride in constructing, knowing they're putting out something that is absolutely delicious, that it is not just about the caffeine, it's not just about the sugar, it's not just about cooling off on a hot day, that it just makes your taste buds dance, and it's that you smile every time that you take a sip because it tastes that good. Mm-hmm. And if I can't have that, I don't want to sell it. I love caffeine, but I'm like, it's the flavor that you're drinking, but you drink it because you know that it has the caffeine content, so that you're in essence, you're getting your cake and eating it too. You're going after the caffeine, but it's that flavor. My morning coffee, I'm waking up by drinking something hot that's got caffeine in it. But man, I wake up every day, and as I'm going through my routine, I'm looking forward to its brewing, because the flavor of our house coffee is, I look forward to it. The second that I wake up, my brain is looking forward to that first sip. And that's not about caffeine, because caffeine don't do shit the first 15 to 30 minutes that you're awake. It's about the flavor of my coffee that I look forward to from the second I actually wake up. Flavor matters. Yeah.
Absolutely it does. Absolutely.
Trish, why should other businesses patronize Scared Rabbit and Vickers?
I feel like other businesses should patronize Scared Rabbit and Vickers, because when you come here, you know that you're going to be able to deal with people who care about their job, and they also care about your business. They want to be great, but they also want to make your business the best that they can be. And at this point, we have a team who also cares. And we want to be able to be proud of what we're presenting. So when these businesses are coming in and they're wanting the apparel from Vickers, or they're wanting the websites, we want them to leave and be able to tell their friends about us and tell other businesses. And it's not, oh, well, I got a really good deal over here at Scared Rabbit, or, oh, I got some cheap shit over here at Vickers. It's, man, these people really take care of you. And that's why people should come here. It's because we care, and we're going to do the best that we can. And even if we fuck up, because God knows we fuck up, we're going to fix it for you. And we're going to be very apologetic, and we're going to say, next time you come, we understand that this is what we did this time. This isn't going to happen again. We take ownership in what happens. We take pride in our work. And we want to be known for being that small business that you can count on.
And that was the struggle, and that's what took me the most time. Getting a team in here that values accountability.
I agree.
Because in the beginning, the team, nobody wanted to own who screwed up. They were too busy stabbing each other in the back and pointing fingers at each other. And I mean, we just went through this at Pizza Junkiez. The customer come in, and they ordered a pizza, and they ordered multiple things that were extra toppings on top of extra cheese. They called to complain after they got their pizza. They sent a picture. They showed me the picture. I looked at it, and I was like, and the girls didn't think that they did anything wrong. They thought that it was a good-looking pizza. I'm not saying it wasn't a good-looking pizza, but when I factored what they ordered and all of the things that they asked for extra, I could clearly look at it and say, that doesn't look like extra cheese. So the rest of it is irrelevant. Mine is to train my team. If we find one piece that we did wrong, we own the entire mistake. Because if we did something wrong, had we not done that one thing wrong, well, then maybe the entire experience wouldn't have went wrong. We own the one thing because that is the right thing to do, because if you want to inspire loyalty out of people, you want them to look at you and be like, they screwed up on this one piece and they were gracious enough to own the entire thing. That gives people a reason to be loyal to us because they know if we screw up, they're not going to be forced to make us own our screw up. That's my character being passed down to all of you. If we find something we did wrong, make it all right, because it's the long-term reputation. It's not about the single sale. It is about the long-term relationship and the multitude of sales that can come behind it if they trust that we are always going to do it right, and if we don't do it right, we will own our mistake and we will make it right.
Yes, absolutely.
And it took me years to actually get a team put in here that would understand the importance of that and follow through on that mandate without me having to breathe down their neck or be up their ass to make sure that they took my respect, rapport, and reputation and applied it to how they do business inside of this business. That's been the change, and it has taken telling people this is how it is.
Yeah.
And if you're comfortable with it, you have a place here, and if you don't comfortable with it, there's the door. Because I'm not operating in a low character way. I refuse to. My reputation matters more than this sale. And it killed me that when I walked in the door, I had to eat thousands of dollars worth of screw-ups. Some of them were screw-ups that I wasn't even in possession of the business. But now my name was on the business, and if I didn't eat it, it was going to potentially damage my reputation, and I care about my reputation. So I ate thousands of dollars in losses, and honestly, I was hoping that would send a message to the people, no, this is truly how he operates. And I think it did, and we retained the ones that were worth retaining, and the ones that weren't got out of the way so that we could bring in people that truly are on that same page. Respect, rapport, reputation, and most everything in life will fall in one of those three categories, and in that simplicity of it, decision making becomes real simple when it comes to interacting with other businesses and interacting with other humans and actually giving a shit.
I agree.
Trish, you were one of the few people that I can look back and be like, I knew that I wanted you in the business the moment the opportunity presented itself. But that still comes back to, like, what do I value most for customers? I dealt with you for 7 years and your customer service was impeccable. Like, I knew that the highest priority thing for what I need for my customers, I knew you were bringing that to the table. I knew that would be you setting an example for other people. There wasn't even a thought. There wasn't even a hesitation. And you might be like, in 19 years, you might be the one person that it was, but it was because of all of the years we had done business with each other ahead of time. The other side of this is that I am a consummate tester, and I was just willing to, because had you come on board and not shown a willingness to learn new things, well, I don't know how the relationship would have went. I'm automatically going back to, I brought somebody on that I had known for 20 years that I had thought very highly of and thought they would be a great addition to the business, only to fire them 6 weeks later because I realized they were really good at doing this, but coming into our world, they didn't work in our world. And that didn't work for me, and I'm not willing to support somebody on a payroll that's not going to be. If
you're not a go-getter, you got to get gone.
Yeah. Well, I need accretion to the team. Like, at this point, 70 people and the organization that we are, honestly, there's a piece of me that I have less desire to test and just more desire to bring on selectively team members that are going to further all of us as a group as a whole. But what I'm trying to get to is that I asked Shane if you could do this, and she was like, if you will tell her what you want and stay out of her way and let her give you what you want, yes, she can do this. And
we're doing it. We're definitely doing it, and we're going to do it. We're going to keep doing it.
Thank you very much. That's because,
glad to be here.
You chose. That's my thing, is that
You're welcome. I said you're welcome.
He says that he's the reason why.
I mean, the thing is Matt's always looking for his piece, the person that found out in that moment, and that's where I think everything in life happens for a reason. So he's saying you're welcome, because as soon as he had information, he gave me actionable information in the moment, and I was able to get to you before you considered other options. Without that information, I might not have found out for a couple weeks later, and you already had other options on the table, and I wasn't able to get to you in the moment in general. But I really do believe that everything happens for a reason, and it ain't no different than where I'm trying to be honest with people about the entrepreneurial journey and saying I don't advise anybody to take this journey because I've lived it, but I also know everything in life happens for a reason. Now, I was really pissed off at God for about 3 years because I just don't understand what the reason was for taking my child from me. But it caused a cascading of events that led me down a path, and now, all of these years later, I can be like, okay, as long as I take all of this wisdom and apply it correctly, everything is going to be okay, and I'm going to have food on my table. I'm just that dichotomy of, I know I walked the path that I was meant to walk, and out of that are beautiful relationships and thriving businesses. But hindsight being 2020, I can look backwards and be like, my life would have been more secure, less stressful. I would likely have stronger relations with my blood family members had I just walked this normal path that everybody else walks in life. It was when I derived from or deviated from that normal path in life that everybody wants to tell you you're stupid. And it's a really hard road until we get to today where I'm like, hopefully in 10 or 20 years, we're all doing so well that I'm like, it was worth it. It was so worth it across the board. But the same way of writing the book was trying to get all of that pain down to let it go so that I could mentally move on past it. Like, the pain is still so fresh that I'm like, no, I should have just stayed a factory worker. I was really good at being an employee, and I did my job to the best of my ability, and I was dependable, because this whole thing has been puzzle pieces. I've been the challenge of finding other like-minded people, and that's where I'm like, thank you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for coming on and being a part of this. Thank you for deciding that you wanted to ride my ride.
It's been a hell of a wave, but I'm down for it.
It really has, because unapologetic on that end of it. I've had some people that have been like, they've at least been respectful enough to say, I respect that this is your ride and I no longer want to be on this ride. No problem. I can deal with that. It's because it's not for the faint of heart. It's definitely a freaking roller coaster. Sometimes you're hanging upside down. Sometimes you're getting jerked left and then right.
But if you have ADHD, it's the best job ever.
Well, and again, I go back to that book. And what's that book? The Hypomanic Edge, where I'm glad. When I was a kid, my mom took me to a shrink, and the shrink said, your children are traumatized because of the divorce between you and your husband. Well, my mom couldn't then afford to continue to take me to a shrink, so her next best was take me to shrinks in training, that they were in college, that they had to get their hours so that they could actually become a shrink. Well, what came out of that? I hate shrinks because I think that they're full of shit. Later on in life, I'm realizing behind psychology and psychologists and counselors, notice I'm not calling them shrinks, there's validity there, and I understand. I'm also not going to put myself in front of a shrink because they're going to tell me that I got ADHD and ADD and compulsive obsessive and all of the, and I don't give a shit about these labels. I am me, and I live my life by a certain code that I don't expect everybody to understand, but this is how I look at myself in the mirror, and the only people that are going to work well with me are the people that can look at that and say, like, I can respect that, I can work with that, and I think my crazy will play nice with his crazy, because I'm not going to deny that there's...
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know that you got a little bit of crazy in you. I mean, we drove, because Katie got on me, she was like, what, I'm third? Did you hear about that?
No.
So in one of the interviews, one of the girls says, if you had a battle of all of your managers, who would win?
Oh, shit.
And this starts playing in my head with this, and I'm like, well, instinctively, I want to say Matt, because I mean, like, he's a big guy, and most of you are women, and I said, but you know what? I don't want to count Trish out, because Trish has the mental to see all of this happening and step back and wait for Matt to wear himself out. And then come through and knock him over, so I could see Trish being number one. And then Katie was like, well, I would be number 3? And I'm like, Katie, this was how I got to all of this. But you and Katie are the two that I've said, I would take you as a bodyguard the same way that I would take a male as a bodyguard. You two would be two women that I would not want to meet in a dark alley. And I mean, because you both possess a certain amount of crazy that I'm like, no, I wouldn't want to make you mad. And in that respect, I would be afraid of what would happen. If I was dating you, I would probably have to be a beta male that would be okay with being smacked around by my woman, because like
I struggle with that. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, there we go, and that's where I'm sitting there going. So the business relationship works real well. We could never have a personal relationship because I'm not okay with being with a woman beating up on me. But for clarification, I have never put my hands on a woman, but I'm also not cool with being smacked around by a woman. I mean, that's some men, that works for them. Cool. For you, no judgment. But yes, I enjoy my communication with you, but yeah, if it come down to the walking down a dark alley, no, I would take you and Katie beside me just as soon as I would take Matt or any other guy, because I'm like, about the time they jumped out, I'd be like, dude, you just fucked up.
You did.
These two women have been looking for a man to beat up on for a minute.
Facts, big facts. Not gonna lie.
I'm gonna wait over here.
Yeah, it's funny because like at my house, of course, like everybody knows I pack. So like I have my gun or whatever, but in every room I always have like objects. So for instance, like at my desk, I have a rock. It's like this big, but I have this specific rock because it fits in my hand. So if you were to ever come in, I don't have to worry about shooting you, because if you come close enough, I'm gonna crack your ass with this rock. Well, then if you look over, for some reason, I've done this forever, I also have a broomstick. And my uncle gave it to me because he was like, this is my ass whooping stick. He was like, so you take this, and he's like, I filed it down. So like, it's an ass whooping stick for real. But I have it slid on the couch. So that way, if you ever come in, I just grab that stick and I'm gonna crack the shit out of you. Not only do I have a gun, but like I have all these different weapons in my house. And I don't know why, but I've always like just had shit like that. But it's so funny because I'll be the first one to grab, I have a fucking rock on my kitchen table right now. And it's like this big. I like rocks.
No, that's what I said. I'm sitting there going, it's going to be, ma'am, you had a deadly weapon. What are you talking about? It was just a paperweight.
Exactly. And that's what it is. It's got a nice little quartz on it, but I will crack the shit out of you with that just because. And that's just me. I don't know why, but I've always been like that. I love to wrestle. I like to fight. I love to catch you off guard because I'll be the first one to put you in a headlock. Like, it's a whole thing at my house. So you have to be on guard, because if not, I'll probably whoop your ass.
I'm fine with it, and I'm not trying to test it. And
but
I'm
we
not
can just
trying
be
to find
besties.
out.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
they just say, let's just be besties, and let's work together, grow together, and make a lot of money. And what you do in your personal life is not my business. And yeah,
I'm down for it.
Okay, no problem. Wow. And the funny enough, I will cap this interview off with And I don't know, maybe you guys mess up the order because I'm sitting there going, I know that we're somewhere 20 interviews deep in all of this.
16.
16? 16 with one of the 16 being 6 freaking people. Which, yeah.
16 plus?
Yeah, there was a lot of comedy in that. I didn't.
17.
Rebecca got me on that. Which one of you told her that I said that was my most fun?
Oh, you talking about the Vickers? I think that was me because we were talking about it, and I told him, and I said, after that one, I said everybody was in there. It was a group. But then after I listened to Ale and you were like, it really wasn't, like, it didn't really hit me like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like with that point, the employees really just didn't know, one, what had already been asked, but two, I feel like they just didn't really have an approach on how they could do it. So, like, I'm going around all week, print out questions, and I'm like, did you get your questions? Do you have questions? You don't have to use these questions, but you could use these for reference. And I'm in here using, like, thought-provoking, seasoned entrepreneur, and then I find out that you talk about superpowers and other things, and I was like, well, shit. But I tried.
Well, because the thing is Rebecca was like, so you lied to them? And I was like, well, yeah, they put me on the spot, and I didn't want to tell them that I had no appreciation for their dumbass questions because I knew that would hurt their feelings, and they did ask me a couple questions about, do I feel like my people think that I'm approachable? And I'm like, part of that approachability is that I will give you an honest answer, but in the moment of having the cameras on and they're wanting me to fluff their feathers and tell them how great it was, and I'm like, but did I have an appreciation for being asked about what superhero do I want to be and what superpowers what I want? No, I really didn't. While I was fine with comedy, levity, like anybody else, I enjoy smiling and laughing and cutting up. The interviews were supposed to be about connecting on a deeper level, exchanging, disseminating information, satisfying curiosities, but I'm like, if my people are literally curious about if I could have a superpower, what superpower would it be? While I appreciate witty banter, I really love like deep, engaging conversations, and I'll choose the deep, engaging conversation over the dumbass hypotheticals that you're like never gonna. And of course, then when I say logically, I'm like, well, what superpower would I want that would actually serve me well? Being able to read people's minds. And then Cole was like, oh, that's invasive. Sorry, I don't.
Wowzers. Well,
Yeah,
see, that would be me, because if somebody would say, what superpower would you want to have? And like I explained, we had this conversation, and I explained it to them. Back in the day, my biggest thing was I would want to read minds or be invisible, so that way I could hear things and see. And then as I've gotten older now, I'm like, fuck that. I don't really give a shit how you feel about me, but let me teleport. Let me go ahead and get from Kokomo to Indy in 30 seconds and let me do my thing. And I don't give a shit how you feel.
Well, but the thing is that's because you say teleporting, and I'm like, my first thought would be flying. For the experience of being able to fly, but teleporting is fast and efficient. But that's where when I was like, well, if you're really, I'm Pisces. If I could literally breathe underwater and be able to swim underwater, I'm like, well, there's a lot more ocean than there is land. My world would exponentially expand if I could literally swim underwater and breathe underwater. Hell, I could get down to where apparently the aliens are. I don't, from
Atlantis.
But the point is that yes, we go that direction where no, I didn't want to ruffle their feathers. So yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, we had fun. But was it truly an enjoyable engagement and interaction? It wasn't, because I just felt like we were burning time to ask dumb questions that I didn't have appreciation for. And then Marcia hits me with a question I didn't see coming. And I feel the need to clarify with you, and maybe for the cameras, because I thought about what I said to her, and I was like, I wish I could have clarified this one thing. And then it does go back to like when I completed my back piece, the Phoenix is 2 heads because there are very distinctly 2 me's.
Yeah.
There is, and when I'm processing, am I processing from the business me or from the personal me? So she asked me, in all of my confidence what my insecurities were. And I plainly answered that my insecurity is that I'm not enough. Okay, that's in business.
Right.
I know in a personal relationship that I'm enough. I'm a good man. I know how to be a good man to a woman. But I didn't clarify that. I just simply said my insecure is that I'm not enough. And I wish I would have clarified. The flip side of that coin is that I'm too much. And I wonder if I will ever actually truly find a woman that appreciates me for the extra that I am, because I'm being asked that question by my ex-wife, and we are not together because I exhaust her. I'm too much for her, and I'm sitting there going, will I ever? I am me, and I'm not going to change, and I'm not going to try and water myself down. I'm not going to dial down for somebody. If I'm too much, then go find less. But though the question is, what you talk about that insecurity. Well, am I ever going to find a woman that is like, you're not too much for me, like you're just right. This less that everybody else offers is undesirable and it's lacking. I'm happy that you have all of this extra, because I don't want to be negatively judged for my brain being wired the way it is. I am me, and I'm comfortable with me, but I'm not going to deny that. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, a lot of women are like, you've been like, yeah, I know that, and apparently you're simple, and I can appreciate simple in business, because I'm like, okay, you're going to come in and you're going to just simply do this piece very well, but don't make it more complicated than this, because I know that you're simple. Well, the simple, I can say I'm simple as a man, like I'm a guy. I'm simple and I'm complex, and it's finding a woman that is, if nothing else, fascinated or appreciates the complex side. Because if you're just looking for a simple meat and potatoes man that just gets up and goes and does his 9-to-5 job and then sits in the chair and watches his Sunday football and says, bring me a beer, I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
So that, because I'm also not going to sit here and say, like, I'm so confident I don't have any insecurities. But no, they're a flip side of a coin between my insecurities in business and my insecurities in personal. And
do you wish that you would have focused more on your personal as opposed to your business as you've grown?
Not, and that's that. The complex side of me has been the learning journey to truly understand. Like, I know how I tick, why I tick. I didn't know. I knew I was a little bit different in my younger years, and it was kind of like being an eternally curious person. I wonder why I'm this way. I wonder why I think this way. I wonder why I do things this way. But it wasn't a burning desire to understand. Through my journey, it's been no, I need to understand, because if I can understand myself on a deeper level, I can understand other people on a deeper level, and I can understand how my energy affects them. It was through all that understanding that then I had to understand, I know why I exhaust her. She's simple. She doesn't want to put that much thought into it. The me 20 years ago, it worked. I didn't have a burning desire to understand, so I didn't have a burning desire to amplify it. Now, I'm like I've said, like, I might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I think that I should be, because I think if more people saw through my lens and thought like me, we would live in a better world and more problems would be solved and we would have less problems in general, because I do think about things on a much deeper level. But it's going to take a really curious woman. I'm not even saying that it has to be a genius, intelligent woman. At least a curious woman that appreciates that my mind just operates a little bit different than the average person. And I'm saying it like that because I think you guys appreciate that. I think the people in business are like, well, he might be fucked up in his own ways, but I would rather align with somebody that has a brain that fires that way, that can solve problems.
Compartmentalize.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's one trait all three of us share is the doing, executing. So it's like being able to ADD and what about that? Fuck, let's go run it. Let's go run down that rabbit hole.
No, I just fuck you guys up where I'm like, hey, while you're running down that rabbit hole, have you thought about what we're doing on this rabbit hole?
Yeah. Matt's always like, wait, especially if he's on my computer and we're sharing screens where he's like, wait, what are you doing? Why do you do things like that? Because I'll have like 85 tabs up and I've sent off the print for Zoo Print, but then I hop over here and I'm doing something else and then I'm doing this and he's like, wait, what are we doing right now? And I'm like, oh, sorry, it's my brain. Sorry.
I was like, hold on, we're working on this over here, but I can't, but I can send this print. I'm like, oh.
No, and that's the thing is because that's what it's like. I can look at all of you as a team, and I know you have an appreciation for how my brain works. I have not been successful in finding a woman that has appreciation for how my brain works.
Have you thought about seeing like a professional matchmaker and actually having them like do something like that for you?
No, and you know why? Because I'm a tight ass. Yeah. Because I like those matchmakers.
God damn it! If we can't have doorknobs, we can't have dates.
Right.
Exactly. Well, you say doorknobs to dates. Those matchmakers, $2,500, $5,000, $10,000 for a date, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know if I can bring myself to cut that check.
That's crazy expensive.
You see
What
what
if
I'm
you just
saying?
went on a talk show? Or like, what about like one of those reality shows? Would you ever do something like that?
I mean, I would, but that's also why I'm sitting there going.
They haven't done an entrepreneur one.
My thing is that if you are intent on looking for it, you're never going to find it. So I know that I'm being me, and we're doing this in business, and I do know that we put things out on social media, and sooner or later I will end up on a stage. Sooner or later, me being me, I'll attract the right woman.
You had one in your social media for a long time. You let her get
Don't
away.
get me started on that. That's because
He's talking about me.
now, I still have. I'm still simple in a guy attraction, and mine was that I was like I don't have a type, and I don't necessarily have a type because there are many. Oh no, I get it. I totally understand. Small, petite, brunette. That is my
Pretty feet.
No. That's my pattern because I am directly attracted to that. But my first love was a Mexican girl. I have dated a black girl.
That surprises me.
I have seen Asian women as very attractive. So and funny enough, that's where I'm like, I know myself to not overly be attracted to blonde women with big chests. Consequently, one of my high school sweethearts she was a blonde with a big chest. I think the world of her, we are still friends today. Like, she's really a good girl. I mean, her and her husband they're living their best life. I know for whatever reason, I have attempted to date blondes, and it didn't really go far because the X factor that it wasn't there, and part of that X factor has to do with attraction, and I mean, it's like anybody can be attractive, and then the connecting wise, is there an X factor there? But for whatever reason, the couple blondes that I've dated, it's just the attraction was and the X factor that gravitational pull of man, I want to, because it's like part of sex is not just sex, it's like swimming in your brain, like curious about what's going on in your head. That's part of that X factor. If you really feel that passionate about somebody, like you want to crawl in their brain and understand what truly makes them tick. I'm not going to settle and invest my life with a woman that X factor does not exist. Okay, well, I'm saying that because like the high school sweetheart. It was total attraction back then. I mean, she was just an incredibly beautiful girl, and we happened to work together. But in my later adult years, for whatever reason, I'm not to this. It does tend to be dark hair. I mean, even olive skin or tan. But now we're getting into superficial stuff. But it's like, no, I know generally speaking what I'm attracted to, but it's not tied to a race to say, oh, well, he only likes white girls that are small and brunette. That has not been the best kiss I ever had in my entire life was a black girl. And I ran into her at the auto shop here, like, I don't know, decades later, and I'm like, I still never forgot that kiss. She was blushing. I mean, but the point, it truly was the best kiss I ever had in my entire life. And then I still go back to my first love was a Mexican girl. That was where I caught a tinge from my family. They were like, he's bringing a Mexican girl around? And I'm like, where'd that come from? Like, this is a girl, and I love her. And then that was that, 14 to 15 years old. And then, of course, I start dating again, and she's mad that I won't tell her I loved her. And it took me getting years into the road to be like, the love you felt at 14 and 15 with this one person, you're never going to feel that exact love with somebody else again, because it was specific to that person, and puppy love specific to that time in your life. But I came out of that going, well, if I don't feel that, I'm not going to lie to somebody and tell them that I don't love them. It took me growing up to realize you can love people many different ways, and you can be in love with people many different ways. And I think when I met Marcia, I mean, that was that I knew that over the top, like, it went from attraction to passion to falling madly in love with that spark, that X factor. I want the whole package.
Yeah.
The bad thing when I say, but I'm saying that and clarifying, my definition of whole package could very well be a different definition from somebody else's whole package, because what most people stereotypically find beautiful, I'm not saying it's unattractive, but it's not doing for me what most men, they're too superficial about it. Like, no, I want to get into what's your vocabulary, what's your tone of voice, what's your curiosity, what
kind of quirks do you have?
Yeah, quirks, mannerisms. Do I find it cute? That kind. I mean, it's a different kind of package. And then the funny thing, because I don't hear anybody talking about it, so I'm saying it because we're on camera.
Yeah.
You know the odd feature that I have found myself attracted to that nobody talks about?
What?
There is so much character in a woman's nose.
You've said that before.
Like, if you go to a plastic surgeon to get the ideal nose, you're actually becoming bland, because it's just like perfectly smoothed over. And no, the women that I have found to be the most beautiful had a very distinctive nose. And I say that because I'm like, if you talk to a guy's like ass, legs, chest, face. Oh, be deeper than that. Oh, you have such beautiful eyes. No, I'm like, there's so much character in a nose. And it was like, that's what I'm saying. I think deeper about these things, and I look at the women that I have found myself really attracted to, and I'm like, most of those women really had a lot of character in their nose. Start dissecting things that way. And I mean, you say that, and I'm like, look at Marcia and tell me I'm wrong. Marcia has a very distinctive nose. It is part of her beauty. And ex-wife or not, she's still one of the most beautiful women I have ever put my eyes on.
She's really pretty.
Even today, like, yeah, I mean, you go back and look at our wedding picture. Yeah, she just absolutely, stunningly one of the most beautiful women in the world. To me, somebody else might be like, oh, she's not blonde. Oh, her chest isn't big enough. Oh, You do you, but yeah. So I'm not saying that I don't know what my propensity is, but it could be that, because my first love, it wasn't brunette, it was jet black hair. And that's, everybody has their own thing. And that's where I know when I say I'm not settling, it's whoever it is, there has to be extreme attraction. There has to be extreme curiosity going both ways. There has to be, I like the firing back and forth witty banter, but there's got to be a desire to have deeper, more understanding communication. I want more. I don't want less.
Right.
I don't want to settle for less. If I got to settle for less, I'm fine being alone. And most people, they're like, oh, you're a loner. I won't label myself as being a loner, but I'm totally fine being alone because I don't want to surround myself with dull, vanilla, simple.
You're going to get bored very quickly.
Yeah, I get bored. And then I have them looking at me going, will you be less for us? No, I don't. I don't want to be with somebody that wants me to tone myself down and be less so that I'm more suitable or tolerable for them. No. I can honestly tell you, I am generally in touch with the world. You can find that less out there. They are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
That's where I look at the women out there and I'm like, I know the males that you have to pick from. Sorry.
Good luck.
Yeah, I don't, that's...
Very interesting.
We go off on many different directions.
5-minute add-on.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's too funny. I don't know what else to...
So what you're saying is as long as they got a good nose, they can hit us up on YouTube, Facebook. Send us a picture of your nose. No nudes, just your nose.
Feet, brunette, good nose,
Pretty feet.
good vocabulary.
Yeah.
You say pretty feet, which, and some women are like, ew, don't look at my feet. Here's my thing. A woman that takes care of her hands and their feet says a lot about how they take care of themselves. And I'm like, I don't mind. That's the hot crazy scale. I'm totally willing to deal with the crazy as long as, like, if your hands and your feet say that I was about ready to use that word that stirred so much problems. If you're ratchet, probably, it wouldn't matter if you're a petite brunette.
Right.
Because I'm going to be looking at your hands and feet going, you don't take care of your extremities, so I'm really going to question if you're taking care of everything else. No.
On your outside,
Yeah.
what's your inside look like?
That's...
And what about the clackers? Are you into the big long clacker nails?
No, I am not.
No clackers?
And that's where I said, that's where, I mean, I can't believe we're talking about, but I prefer small chest. One, because I'm like, more than a handful, what the hell can you do with them? But the other side of it is it's natural. I really have an appreciation for a natural woman. I'm not saying a woman can't put makeup on and highlight and accentuate and make herself even more beautiful, but the woman that's got to put the mask on in order to present herself in public, I'm not mad. Everybody, you do you. I'm not, but I mean, I have found that attraction is, I can roll over in the middle or in the morning and be just as attracted to you as I was when we actually got in bed, and that comes down to natural beauty, nice skin tone. You take care of yourself. How a woman takes care of her hands and her feet says a lot about her. And no, I don't get into the Freddy Krueger weird ass shit. And especially I can't remember who it was, somebody in this group told me a study about what they found under the nails of women that had these long ass nails. And once I understood that, I'm like,
fecal fingers.
Yeah, no, I don't want, no, I mean.
It makes sense.
No, it totally does make sense, but I come back to I appreciate a natural woman, because even a natural woman that literally is able to grow her nails out a little bit, they're not like that. That's weird ass. And I'm like, and if you as a guy are attracted to that, good for you. If you as a woman think that is attractive, good for you. It ain't gonna work for me. I I want a woman that can look at herself in the mirror and just have nice hands and just have a small chest and be okay with herself, not going, I'm not going to feel right unless I got nails that are a foot long and a chest that I have to develop back muscles to be able to hold myself up. That I know that I'm being melodramatic. That's not.
But it's the truth, though. I mean, if that's what you're looking for, there's a type of woman for every man out there. Mm-hmm. And you just prefer natural beauty, and you're looking for somebody who's going to be a go-getter.
No.
Or would you just prefer to have somebody just kind of hanging out?
No, that's what I don't. It's not. If I came across the right woman and she wasn't a go-getter, it wouldn't bother me. And if she was, it wouldn't bother me. I want to see a woman be happy and know that when she wants me close, I'm there, and when she wants to do her own thing, I'm not going to be that jealous guy that gets in the middle of it. I'm not trying to, because that's what I'm saying, is it's like, if I say I want to go get her, it's like, well, I'm looking for a power couple. No, I'm not. I'm really, that's where, like, the woman that's like, I don't need a man, well, you're probably not going to have a man, because if you're going to take that mentality, you're going to reject a more strong-willed man that's going to be like, well, if you take that attitude, if that's what you lead with, you're not going to attract a good man, because he's like, if you're so fiercely independent that you lead with, I don't need a man, well, good luck finding a man worth having. No, I don't. I'm more masculine, and I'm looking for a woman that's generally more comfortable in her feminine. But does she have to be a go-getter? No, I already cover that base. Mm-hmm. I want a woman that is like, I understand as a woman the strength I can bring to the table is that I can nurture, and that I can appreciate that that his role is to be a protector and a provider, so mine is to be his rock to come home to, and when he goes out and comes back bad or beat up from the battle of the day, I'm going to be here to take care of him and nurse him back to health, and then push him right back out to go do it all over again. I want a woman that is proud of me for who I am. But am I looking at a woman and saying, oh, you're not highly educated, oh, you're not ambitious and driven? No, I don't. Because I really do wonder, like, a female me?
That's a lot.
I know, that might be too much for me. I don't, but that's what I'm saying. I don't need that. I'm looking for somebody that compliments me. And I don't even know necessarily what that looks like, because what I do know is that feeling that I'm talking about, as an adult, I have felt that 3 times. 1, I tried every way to make it work, and I tried for many years after our divorce. 1, I walked away from because this one wanted me back, and I could not bring myself to raise somebody else's children and only see my children on the weekends when she was begging me to come back. Mm-hmm. And I look at that and I'm like, that was a mistake. This one was a really good woman, and she wanted me, and I think that she wanted me for the right reasons, and there was all those attraction and all of those things were there. It's just that she wanted me back, and I was like, mother of my children, and if there's a chance that it'll work out, I don't want to say no to that, because I can't raise somebody else's kids and only see my own on the weekends. Mm-hmm. Put all that away. There was a 3rd. She didn't want me. So I'm like, out of the 3 times that I felt that, 2 of the 3 decided that they didn't want me, and the 3rd one I walked away from. And that is only to say, it made me realize it's not a flash in the pan that you only find one person that you're able to have that connection and that spark with. I know that I'm capable of finding that person. I'm capable of finding my person, but I also know the harder you look for it, the less chances you're ever going to have of finding it. Mm-hmm. So I'm not looking for it. I'm living my life, because obviously with all of you, I have got a full life, and my kids being, because obviously my son's grown, so it's my kids being Coffee Junkiez and Pizza Junkiez and Scared Rabbit and Vickers. Like,
well, he's still your kid.
Yeah. But my point is, I look at them like children, mm-hmm. is what I'm getting at. And they're like, where It's funny. Scared Rabbit and Vickers are older than Coffee Junkiez and Pizza Junkiez, but Coffee Junkiez and Pizza Junkiez is far more mature. So I'm looking at them like that parallel of age and making sure that they're able to walk on their own, because you got to walk before you can run, and then empowering them to grow into adults, as to where obviously Cole's 27 now, where I'm like, he's only going to receive what he wants to receive.
He's about to be 28.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying, is that I'm like, but that was the whole thing. I wanted to have kids purposely young, because I wanted to be able to be friends with my kids and not be just an old slouch when they actually got to an age where we could legitimately be friends in general. But the point is, I'm sure I will find. And I remember when I was really mad at Marcia at one point, and I was like, I'll go through 100 and I'll find me the one. Like, she made me mad, and that was ridiculous. But the point being, yeah, you're gonna date, and it's like, I'm not giving somebody a matchmaker $5,000 and they're gonna hook me up with one person. What's the likelihood of lightning in the bottle that they're gonna go pick out the one person?
$5,000 like builds the profile.
There's like a personality, yeah.
I don't.
So then it's like
Yeah.
a couple $100 every time you match up after that.
I don't know, because the thing, I saw this interview of this guy, and he was like, he was dealing with a matchmaker, and this dude was loaded, so $5,000 wasn't just like, he didn't care. And she's like, I don't think you want to be in a serious relationship, because this matchmaker had matched him up with like a half dozen girls, and he's like, well, I don't know, maybe I just want to play. And of course the matchmaker's thinking, well, like, you've given me $30,000, $40,000, $50,000
Just to hang out.
You're not like clicking and getting serious with one of them. And I'm like, that brought me to how much you're paying to be matched with one person. And I'm like, that's to me, that is a form of chasing. I've never chased. I don't chase a woman. I am not saying I would not pursue a woman that let me know she wanted to be pursued and I was attracted to her. I have pursued women that let me know they were attracted to me, but I'm not chasing a woman. Never have, never will. I can let a woman know that I find them attractive or that I'm interested, and then walk away. And if she lets me know she wants me to pursue, then that's a different story. But these guys that are like, I'm going to go chase women and I'm going to chase 100 of them, and the law of numbers, one of them's going to say yes. I ain't got time for that shit. That's where my game is not strong when it comes to dating, because I'm like, no, let's have a real conversation. Let's see if we actually click. Is there chemistry? Not. Do you have smooth texting lines, and do you say the right thing to spark their curiosity? Because there's good things that comes out of internet dating. There's bad things. The bad thing is women love having as many men orbiting them as they can, and they want all of them chasing so that they can feel like they're just overloaded with all of these options.
That sounds exhausting.
Exactly, to me. And I'm sitting there going, I know all of the men orbiting you are
trash.
I'll let it come out of your mouth, because I'm not going to sit there and insult other men, but I'm sitting there going, I know who I am and what I am, and I know that I can be a very interesting and fulfilling partner with whoever I would partner with. So when I see this superficial, oh, you just want all these men orbiting and you want me to compete for your attention with all these men orbiting, I'm like, no, you're never going to have anything real. You're never going to have anything fulfilling, because all you've done is find those men that they're all about the numbers, where they'll just, that little bit of chase, and no, I'm sorry, that don't work for me. I don't.
So do you feel like you've kind of, I guess, put your dating life aside just for your business?
Yeah.
Just kind of,
yeah.
Fuck love, let's get money?
Yeah, no, but I mean, in the beginning, it was because I was trying to find every way that I knew how to make it work with Marcia, because again, I love Marcia. That was I was obsessed with Marcia. I thought it was a healthy obsession, because she was the mother of my children. I thought she was the most beautiful woman I had ever, and that's like anybody, you kiss somebody, you can know whether it's like, is it a good kiss? Is there chemistry? I don't want to have to worry about anybody else. I was just trying to figure out how to make it work with the mother of my children, only to realize, like, I'm too extra for the mother of my children. And this business created so much extra between us. And yes, you pointed out, like, I compartmentalize very well. She doesn't. We have a fight at home, it was coming into the business. We have a fight in the business, it was being taken to home. And so there was no compartmentalizing there. And
Yeah.
I'm sure at some point, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. That I don't overthink. That is it'll be what it'll be. Because I know who I am, and I know that I have never had to chase a woman. And that's when I say had to, I don't want to just spend my time chasing women. That's a load of ridiculousness.
Especially when we have a lot of other shit to be worried about.
Yeah. Because the other side of it is there are men that are like hyper judgmental about women. Oh, her body count and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not. That was where we were talking about the tattoo of the chess pieces of the Broken King and the Dark Knight. Because I'm like, I'll have conversations with women and they'll be like, oh, you're so nice. And because, I mean, chivalry is not dead. I think that you should be chivalrous. But I would very much more align myself with a Dark Knight than I would White Knight in shining armor. Because I know the crazy that goes on up here where I'm like, no, I'm looking for somebody that my demons play nice with their demons and my crazy plays nice with their crazy. And at least I'm willing to admit it because I'm like, I'm sorry that
that's what it is.
It is because I'm sitting there going, if a woman's like, I have no batshit crazy in me, well
Everybody's
then
best performance can get along with everybody else's
best performance, exactly. But there are some women that do not have a sex drive and are heavily analytical, and I'm not insulting them when I say that for me, I would likely find them boring, so it wouldn't work. So I accepted. The woman that I'm truly going to be attracted to is probably going to have a level of crazy in them, but that's going to make them interesting.
Keep you on your toes.
Yes, and that will lead to very attractive, playful, witty banter that can lead to deeper conversations of interest to keep things interesting. Like that's part of the experience. It's got to be interesting. If it's not interesting, it's boring. And if it's boring, what's the fucking point? Unless we're talking about a successful business. Successful businesses are boring, and that should be the goal. Because replicating and producing a consistent result becomes boring through repetition. That's how you build a business. So my thought was, had to keep the business exciting, and keeping the business exciting is what kept the bank account struggling. And when I calmed down the excitement and tried moving the business towards systems, processes, everybody does it the same way, everything is done one way, and it is nothing but repetitious duplication of the same thing, and you're going to do it 1,000 times, and it's just doing the same thing, and it's going to be boring. That is how a successful business operates. The excitement is in the creation of the business, but it is also very painful on your bank account. And of course, on the other end of it, I'm like, you take that back to your personal life. If there's excitement with the woman, there's probably going to do a little bit of damage to your bank account. But I mean,
Yeah.
Facts.
yeah, that's okay. I can accept that. That's what I said. Because I don't want boring in
That's
my
what we call
personal
balance.
life. No, that's, yeah. Okay.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for allowing us to do this with you.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing your time with us. You probably don't hear it a lot, but thank you.
It's we got one life to live on this earth, or I mean, I think most people feel that, like, because I believe in ghosts. I ain't trying to fuck with them, but I don't know if I believe
You
about.
got the fucking last office haunted.
Yeah, no shit. But I don't know how I feel about reincarnation. I don't know how. I'm like, so as far as I'm concerned, we only got one life to live, and you got to make it worthwhile.
Yeah. So thanks for choosing us to let us be in your life then.
Got to keep it interesting.
Fuck yeah, we do. So about that, what are you gonna do about that bus?
You know what? If it hadn't been for Grant Cardone, I never would have bought that damn bus. I watched some video of him talking about like the bold don't think about it, they just do it. And I happened to be on Facebook Marketplace, and I was like, Matt, come pick me up. We're buying a bus. And sooner or later, maybe we really do something really good with that bus.
I don't think you told me we were buying a bus.
I think he just kind of kidnapped you, didn't he?
I think you said we have to go somewhere, and you're going to enjoy it.
This is where he keeps it exciting.
And it was like, we're getting a bus. And I'm like, what the fuck? And he's like, and you're driving it back.
Oh.
5 hours away.
Great.
I've never drove a bus. I'm not on camera.
No.
I've never drove a bus before.
Well, you have now. First time for everything.
I did, yeah.
And that I will say that's because same thing with Rebecca. I enjoy giving people their first experiences.
Some you didn't even know you were looking for.
That's the whole.
Boy, ain't that the fucking truth?
It's something about it because, like I said, I think a good life lived has a bunch of experience in it. And like if I've experienced something and I hear that somebody has not experienced, I'm like, I want to be the person that provides and gives you that first experience.
Well, you guys have definitely motivated me to do a lot of my firsts. I mean, hell, I work on the house now. Like, I'm fucking handyman Jane over here working on stuff. And my biggest thing is what's going to happen. I just fuck it up. Oh, well.
And
And like, that's kind of how I feel here. Like, you fall on your face, you get back up and you do it again. This time you're going to do it right. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, and don't get me wrong, because like a first that I know that I can provide for everybody that hits generally everybody across the board, except for Brian. Private flight. Mm-hmm. Like, private flight it's expensive, but it is so worth it. So sooner or later, we will.
Of course, Milton's been on a private flight.
He has.
He has a cousin that owns his own plane, so they have. Yeah, he's
like actual plane or like prop plane.
You know what? Honestly, I don't know.
Because I don't feel like
it's not a. It's not a jet.
Prop plane doesn't. Yeah, well, jets like that.
Okay, but no, because I've experienced that. I gotta. The thing is, I'm sitting there going again by experience. Cool as shit. That was go back to the.
That was a jet though.
What?
Where you were on.
Yeah, I'm talking about. Let's go backwards. The individual that we're happy is no longer.
Here's Father, yeah.
Yeah, just screwing this place and robbing me blind. The appreciation. It only in a prop plane at 10,000 feet can you turn that engine off and just experience flying. And you can only get that out of a small prop plane, and that was a once in a lifetime experience that I just thoroughly enjoyed. It was a little unnerving when he turned the motor off because I'm like, man, I hope this. But I also knew a small plane is able to glide into a landing.
To a tree?
It doesn't. It does not need its motor, and it was. So I have experienced a small prop Cessna, and I've experienced a private jet. Both of them are very unique experiences if all you've ever known is regular commercial flight. Well, Rebecca had never even experienced regular commercial flight. So I get her on a plane and she's like, I'm like, just calm down, relax. But I mean, we're talking about when she's a full-grown adult and she's never been on a flight. It was quite I thought she was going to actually rip the arm piece off of that tensed up. And I'm like, breathe, relax, swallow, chew some gum.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
And if it's not,
yeah, we're not gonna. Yeah.
So.
I did the last flight that I was on. This lady, she was in the back, and I mean, and I picked my seat. I was up front, and I'm sitting back, chilling, getting ready to, and she started freaking out, having panic attack, and they tried to calm her down. And after about 10 minutes, somebody from the higher up was like, you tried, get her off the plane, you're screwing with our schedule. And it was like, thank God, like if she ain't gonna get it under control, get her off the plane so that we can get on about our day. But some people, it affects them that way, and I'm like, yeah, that's why you drive. I mean, that's...
I do like driving, though.
No, and I have an appreciation for both. The one that I've never taken a train. And
Either.
I feel like
We should take a train
Colorado?
to Colorado.
That would be really cool.
I would be willing to do it, but on the other end of it, I wonder if it would give me anxiety going too slow. Like that's the whole, a car, you go pretty
That is
fast.
true. And
A
you're
plane,
stopping.
you go pretty fast. Yeah, a train, you're like, well, it better be scenic as fuck because you need something to take my attention off the fact that like we're not.
Well, they were advertising because there's a train that'll take you from Indy to New York down to Miami now, and I was like, well, that's interesting. Yeah, it takes a week.
I don't have a week
It's
to
a
spare.
6-day train ride. And
Yeah,
was like,
I have too much shit going on here. Like I couldn't imagine.
Your whole vacation's just taking the train
That's
ride.
what I was about to say. The food better be good. The bed better be good. Better be Wi-Fi on it. Full on cell signal, and the route had better be scenic as fuck in order
But
for
you're
me to
still in
sign
like
up for
a
that.
cramped up spot. You're in this little bitty area. I mean, these trains aren't going to be that big, so you're just going to be stuck for 6 days.
You never know. I might find the love of my life, and it took 6 days for me to find out that there's chemistry there.
Maybe so, but I hope that you guys live happily ever after and fucking get a plane ride home.
Yeah, like, we take a train. Can we take a plane?
Right.
Like, we just did.
4
Next time.
hours.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God.
What?
It's already 6
Yeah,
o'clock.
This was a 3-hour interview. I'm starting to feel like you just drag these interviews out so you don't have to get to mine.
Oh, wow.
But it's
No,
like-
well, because that, and when we can, because that matches the interview. Because I was.
Nobody else will ask the question.
Yes.
Nobody
because
else is
that
gonna
was the whole
poke that
thing,
bear.
is that Rebecca.
My God, I'm going to ask.
I know you are.
Rebecca and Brian had me a little bit nervous as far as how they were going to come with their questions, but that's because it was they've been around me for so many years. They already know so much about me and about the business. What kind of questions are they going to ask? Matt is the one that I'm like, he's next there as far as being around me, being around the business, and but he'll ask the asshole questions. So I'm like,
Yep, sure will.
Yeah.
okay, well, let's.
Schedule it for next week, yeah.